coffee. And hot.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with the Dog. You make me laugh.
Coffee. Yeah. Boom, boom, bang. Oh, you can stop that over there. Stop that over there. Stop it. Good morning, people of Earth. Welcome to Monday. It is Monday, February 12th, 2024. It's Abe Lincoln's birthday. Happy birthday, Abe. Enjoy the play or whatever. And you know what? I'm not down with this whole President's Day thing, combining stuff. Because when I was a kid, we used to get Lincoln's birthday and Washington's birthday as separate holidays. And then they combined them. And now it's for all presidents. Like, I'm not down with all presidents. I just like those two. I like Teddy Roosevelt. Anyway, the rest of them can go fuck themselves. I'm not wishing happy birthday or what happy day to the rest of those assholes. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm starting off on the wrong foot. I'm sick again. I don't leave my house for anything but gigs, really. I mean, if I think about it, maybe I go to the grocery store every once in a while, but every time I go out for gigs, I'm exposed to sick people and their germs and their bacteria and their viruses and their hematoma, whatever, melanoma, whatever. They're infecting me. And I don't like it. I'm a germaphobe now. They made me a germaphobe. Anyway, I don't know what happened last night. Maybe it was Taylor Swift casting a satanic spell on me. Coughing and runny nose and sneezing, and I don't think it's COVID. I'm going to get tested today. I don't think it's COVID this time. I think it's just a shitty winter cold. But it could be a satanic spell. Which, in case you're living under a rock and don't know, since the game ended last night, there have been probably, no exaggeration, 200 or 300 different conspiracy theories about why Taylor Swift is an agent of Satan, and the Super Bowl, is just one big satanic ritual, coming from symbols in the halftime show to guys who were with her to the address of the stadium being 333 and Pat Mahomes throwing 333 yards of passing equals 666. So that means Satan was behind the whole thing. Why do you go? Why do you go? You're a Christian, right? Why do you go to the game? Why do you support it? Well, you'll be back next year. And Taylor Swift might be back next year, too. That would be really fun. I don't get it, man. Listen, if you don't like her, don't listen to her. If you don't, whatever, man. Come on. Satan? Does Satan have to be involved in everything? Speaking of Satan being involved in everything, I turned on Twitter this morning, and it was a porn site. I shit you not. Now, I thought I was imagining things because I'm scrolling down, and I see what looks like a woman giving a blowjob, and I'm thinking this is like a joke. He's going to pull it, and it's not going to be a dick. No, it was a fucking dick. And then there were like 15 like hardcore porn tweets. They're not called tweets anymore, just posts in a row. And I was like, what the? And I just tweeted, is Twitter now a porn site? And by the time I got from the house into this cave. Turned on Twitter and it was all gone. I think somebody might have hacked the algorithm there or something a little bit this morning, and I alerted them to it. No, I don't know. I don't know about that. Anyway, I am excited about this. By the way, we have Taylor. Taylor will be with us at 9:15 today. Yeah, we got Taylor. I am excited about the guests we have coming up on this week. Most notably, Brendan Walsh tomorrow. The late hour tomorrow, the Brendan Walsh. I'm really excited about having him on. It'll probably be another 3 to 5 years before I get him back again. So I'll make the most of that. But Mike Binder, who is Academy Award winning director, Rain on Me. Remember Rain on Me? Adam Sandler, Robert Klein, Don Cheadle. Rain on Me. Was it Rain Over Me? Rain. Adam Sandler plays the guy with PTSD anyway from 9/11 and whatever. Blah, 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 blah. That's a great movie. That's my favorite Adam Sandler movie, even though I can't tell you what the right name of it is. I think it's Rain on Me. He's the director of that movie. He's directed several movies, award-winning director, and he's threatening to come back on the program. Threatening, I say, but I welcome him back. He is a friend of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And he has been on this program before. And we argued a little bit about Roseanne being a batshit crazy because he likes Roseanne too. But he was quoting Dave Smith. Excuse me, I'm ready for the grave. He was quoting Dave Smith. Dave Smith, who calls himself a comedian, who, let's face it, if he's a comedian, G.D. Fenderson is the best comedian who ever lived. That's what I'll say about that. Why did I have to drag GD into this? Because I'm mean and ugly and cold-hearted and disgusting. I hate myself. Dave Smith is not a funny man, but he's also not a smart man. And he's an egomaniac, and he likes to pass himself off as smart. And Mike follows him. And Mike was saying, "Oh, he's got it so right about the Ukraine invasion." And Dave's whole premise is that Biden is responsible. Joe Biden is responsible for Vladimir Putin invading Ukraine because Putin was genuinely, see, I'm all fucked up this morning, genuinely scared that NATO was going to invade Russia. Because of the advancement of NATO, there was no other recourse but to invade Ukraine. Now, that is so fucking stupid just on its on the basis of what he's saying there, because if NATO wanted to invade Russia, invading Ukraine would be a good excuse for NATO to go back at Russia now. We haven't. It's been 2 years, right? Or it's been a while. I don't know. It feels like 2 years. 2 years next month, I think. Anyway, so I tweeted something back, and I'm like, Dave Smith's an idiot. And he said, well, wow, you're really passionate this morning, or whatever he said. Do I have to come back on your show? I was like, my first response was like, seriously, dude, think about what he's saying. It's the stupidest fucking conspiracy theory on a Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday morning before we get to the Taylor Swift Satan things. And but then I thought about it. I said, yeah, of course you should come back on the show. I welcome you on the show. Hey, listen, anybody with that kind of prestige. By the way, before he was a Academy Award winning director, he was also a stand-up comic and is doing stand-up comedy again. So yeah, I welcome him on the show. But he's also a friend of RFQ. Or if he comes on the show, I will respectfully call him Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's a good friend of him and known him for his entire life. And I would love to talk to him about what I will continue to call Q, RFQ, until he comes back on the show. I would love to talk to him about that because, according to RFQ's friends and people who know him, all the negative press about RFQ is just a hit piece. He's not really the crazy, rotten, disgusting person that we've heard about for the last 40 years, long before he ever ran for president or was even thinking about running for president. I want to talk to somebody who's known him for that long and say, you know, were they making it up 40 years before he decided to run for president as a political hit job? Or is a lot of that stuff true? I'm talking about the stuff about, you know, assaulting an old man, robbing his car, beating him up, whipping his dick out in front of strangers, telling his wife to kill herself because she wouldn't have a threesome. All those, you know, this on and on and on of crazy, you know, creepy RFQ shit. Were they making that stuff up for the last 40 years? Not knowing or knowing in advance he was going to run for president? And let's just get all this shit on him just in case. Anyway, I'd love to talk to Mike Weinberg. So he's threatening to come on the program. I say he's threatening to come back on the program. That would be good. But tomorrow I'm looking forward to Brendan Walsh. And a week from tomorrow, Matt Knutson. Things are looking out. I'm happy about when I get listen, not to denigrate any of the other guests that come on the program, but when I have people that I've really wanted on the program come back on the program, I get a little excited, a little happy. Yeah, me happy. Imagine that. Anyway, Willie is with us. Speaking of happy Willie. Wait,
Morning.
I left and we lost GD. He's gone.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he disappeared a few seconds ago. I don't know what happened.
Was that because I said this stuff about Dave Smith and him? He's coming back now.
I don't think so. I don't think that was
So
it at all.
we got rid. I'm going to say this in case he's listening. He will be listening in a second. We got Dave Smith coming on to take GD's place. Oh, he's here anyway. Oh, anyway. Good morning, GD.
Good morning.
Yeah, sound. Listen to that.
Yeah. Two things real quick.
Uh-oh.
The only thing sadder than an empty coffee cup in the morning is knowing that Valentine's Day is around the corner and you don't have a gift. Order your Mind Dog TV lingerie today.
You want to show us what the lingerie looks like? Oh no.
Oh yeah. Well, it's I'll do that after the next commercial break because it's in the other room.
Okay.
I put it on.
Back when I had my own website and I had some merch on there and stuff, I actually we called it the Conway's Kiss, and it was a bikini that had my fucking face all over it. It was fucking ridiculous.
Oh, you should have called it the Conway Twitties. Conway Titties. Conway Titties. I don't know.
Can I correct something real quick? Just for the record, two things. First of all, the address to where the Super Bowl was held was 3333 Al Davis Way. So adding 333 for the address and 333 for how many yards, what's the space through, doesn't work because they altered the reality to match their non-reality.
They cut a 3 off? Is that what you're saying? There were 4 3s and they made it 3 3s?
4 3s, right. And the other thing is, I'm not the best comedian in the world. Let's get that straight. I am the best certified forensic humorist ever.
Well, I was just saying, if Dave Smith can call himself a comic at all, a comedian at all.
Okay, gotcha. I got you. Yeah, I understand.
I don't know if you've ever seen Dave Smith, but he is not fun. He couldn't find a joke if he had a Jackie Martling joke book in front of him. He's just terrible. And I understand.
He's a lot like me then.
Compared to him, you are Richard Pryor, George Carlin, and Robin Williams all rolled into one.
Wow.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
He's
terrible.
It can't be that bad.
Have you never seen him? Yeah, obviously you've never seen him. He's that bad. But because
No, hang on. I remember when I first moved out to LA in 2003. There was this guy, he was an older guy, and he was from the New York area, but he was going to a bunch of mics in the LA area at the time.
That was me.
And literally literally the only thing this guy would do is he would get up on stage and he would look at somebody and he'd be like, I need attention. And like he would increase the intensity of how he said that as he moved from like person to person. Like it's the only thing I remember him doing. I'm I'm sure that occasionally he said some other things, but the only thing that I really remember about the guy is he would get up on stage and he would just yell at the crowd, "I need attention," and
Wow.
that was his routine.
Well,
Like,
Dave Smith likes to think of himself as an intellectual, and he does what he calls a comedy act, but all he's doing is trying to show off how smart he thinks he is, but he's wrong about every fucking thing he says. Everything he said. But I think we live in an age where if you say it with enough certainty, some people will believe you. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You just got to sell the story.
Yeah. So he's been a frequent guest on Rogan, and Rogan sucks up everything he says as if he's like Professor Smith. But he's just, you know what? Maybe I should stop now, but because it sounds like I just hate Dave Smith. I don't really hate Dave Smith, but the point is that what he was saying to Mike Binder, or what he said on Twitter that Mike Binder was agreeing with, was just such a fucking ridiculous idea that Putin invaded Ukraine because he was genuinely scared that NATO was going to invade Russia. So let me start a war and give them an excuse to invade Russia, and then we haven't done it. And so that's his whole, you know, it's not thought out at all. It's like, if I were going to do something like that, why would I, if I was genuinely afraid that I was going to get invaded, I would start diplomacy first. I'd defend my own borders. I wouldn't go invading another country and sending my army over there when I'm thinking I'm going to get invaded. I would put the army around Moscow. That's what I would do.
Speaking of being invaded, it sounds like you guys are going to get invaded by a snowstorm. Did you know that you got a big snowstorm coming your way?
No.
Yeah, winter storm.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Now, I know it's overcast outside, but I haven't looked at the weather yet because if the snow comes.
Starting Monday evening, you guys are about to get blasted.
When you say Monday evening, do you mean this Monday evening or next Monday evening?
Tonight.
Like starting tonight and into Tuesday.
We got rain. It's 44 degrees.
It did say so. Yeah, Long Island's probably going to luck out, but they did say that the New York metro area.
Oh, who gives a fuck about New York? I'm not part of New York.
Going to get like 2 to 5 inches possibly. They said that the Jersey Shore could experience quite a bit of flooding, possibly during the high tide.
Who gives a fuck about Jersey? Nobody gives a fuck about Jersey. You know what? We care about Wetumpka, Alabama. Our guest is here. He's from Wetumpka, Alabama. They're not going to get snow. They're going to get summertime weather very soon. It's going to be springtime there in a minute, literally in a minute. Anyway, before we bring him in, and a couple of things I want to talk about before we get to him, really. The earthquakes, California, last week. California, Hawaii, I think northern Washington state, all got earthquakes in the same day. Southern California had a 4.6. Hawaii had a 5.7. But they had a map of all earthquakes in the last week around the western coast of the United States up through Canada, up through Alaska, and then the eastern coast of Asia, like 200, almost 200, 200 earthquakes within a week. Fucking bizarre. Like, what's going on with that? Like, we had one here.
Time, sir.
Yeah. we had one here like 4 months ago or something. I didn't feel it at all. We had one here 10 years ago. I felt it. I was sick for about a week over there. I was working in a studio that was in this big old barn, and I saw the entire building go lopsided and stand back up while I was inside of it. I was like, whoa. And then I was literally physically sick. I can't believe the people in LA just take it like, did you feel that earthquake there? And they took to Twitter right away. And they're showing video of it. Yeah, really cool. Like, it's nothing.
I was working on a lady's roof, I was off a ladder on a lady's roof during a earthquake, and when I came down like as soon as I could, and I ran in the house, and the lady goes, "Did you do that?"
Was this in
I'm like, "No."
Maryland?
Yeah, and I said, "Ma'am, no, that was an earthquake." She goes, "No, we don't have earthquakes in Maryland." I said, "No, we do. We just don't know it." Because they're usually like very small. That one was like pretty, and it was like I think we had another one like earlier, like maybe a few months earlier. Because that one I was actually sitting on the toilet when it happened, and you talk
Did your butt
about
get wet?
the house is shaking. I'm like, what the fuck? And my cat
I've been
comes
worried
running
about
in.
getting splashed with toilet water.
Yeah, well, that might help things along, like make it a little bit of an easier shit. I think, like, whoa, that was good.
Yeah, shake it right out of you.
Yeah, yeah, that was
A
like,
little earthquake in the morning helps things to get started.
well, let's put it this way: I was in the right place for an earthquake because yeah, I was like, I'd rather shit the toilet than shit my pants
All
because
right. Speaking of the bowl, did either of you guys watch the bowl?
I
I mean,
did.
I kind of watched it as I dozed off. I fell asleep during the game, so
Oh, now
I did.
people. Of course, I couldn't watch it even if I wanted to because I don't have television. I guess I could have found a
You could
way
have
to
watched it
buy it
on
on.
on the UV tubes. You could have
Yeah, I
watched
could.
it online.
Yeah, I probably could have found a way to buy it and watch it online if I were interested in it. But according to a lot of people, they were saying it was boring. I was like, it doesn't sound like boring. It sounds like an overtime game won in the last six
Yeah,
seconds. Doesn't sound boring
Last
to
three,
me at all.
yeah, the last
yeah.
3 seconds. 3 seconds left on the clock when they won. And when they scored the last touchdown.
What about
I didn't fall asleep
commercials?
because it was boring. I fell asleep because
The
I was
commercials
drunk.
suck.
I had a
The
rare
commercial
drink or two yesterday.
the commercials sucked. Um, and the one commercial that sucked the most was the one for Robert Kennedy. What they do is they took the old Kennedy for president, the old Kennedy ad, television ad, black and white, and they just superimposed his face
Gotcha.
in
Yeah.
in all the artwork.
He
Now just like
apologized for that
Kennedy,
this morning.
oh please eat
He
me,
said he had
not
no.
you.
He said he had no part in that. That was a super PAC that put it together, and by law he's not
Right.
allowed to communicate with this super PAC or something.
Yeah, right. By law, yeah. By law, they're not allowed, but we know that by practical use, they all do it. They find ways to do it. They send out a tweet that says, I'm going to do so and so. And then the people who can't communicate with you see the tweet and go, oh, no, then they send out their tweets. So they're communicating through a third party. They communicate.
Here it
They
is.
just aren't.
Let me read you his apology. I'm so sorry if the Super Bowl advertisement caused anyone in my family pain. The ad was created and aired by American Values Super PAC without any involvement or approval from my campaign. FEC rules prohibit Super PACs from consulting with me or my staff. I love you all. Goodbye. Now they've all denounced him long ago. The family, they've endorsed Biden, so I don't know why he's even bothering that. But here's my last take on that, and we'll get to a commercial and then get to the guest. In order for anybody to remember or have any emotional attachment to that original commercial, you'd have to be at least 70 years old. I mean, I was alive when that commercial aired, but I can't remember it. I was probably one when that commercial originally aired, 1 year old. So I don't, and I'm an old man. So for anybody to really remember it, you'd have to be like 75 years old, and even then you weren't voting. So people who were voting then, more like 80, So and half of them, most of them are dead. So I mean,
Well,
who are you trying to?
I remember that commercial because I saw it the same night that I saw Zsa Zsa Gabor with her cat.
Oh my god!
Oh, on the Johnny Carson show. It was the same night that they aired both of them the same night. I remember that vividly.
Well, now we know you're lying because Johnny Carson did not have the Tonight Show. Johnny Carson was a
Oh,
game show host.
we could agree to disagree.
Johnny Carson was a game show host when that ad originally ran. So
Yeah, right. We could agree to disagree.
yeah, we can agree. We can agree to disagree, or we can disagree to agree.
Right.
So this week we have a lot of military guys. Military people in comedy seems to be a lot of it. By the way, I haven't heard from Robert Taylor in a coon's age. No offense.
Willie's not offended. Willie's not offended.
I mean, a raccoon. A raccoon.
Yeah, when he said that, I was like,
that's what the C stands for.
This is February, Matt. You ought not talk that way.
Right.
That's what the C stands for. The one wheel coon. Everybody knows that.
Apparently, raccoons live a very long life. That's where that statement comes from. I did not know that in the coon days.
It depends.
I've never really asked a raccoon how old it was, so I don't really know how they make that determination. But today we have an active Navy comedian on. We've had later in the week we have an active Army comedian. We've had lots.
Why aren't they at the border? Why aren't they at the border?
We'll ask that because
it's a disaster. They should be at the border.
Well, we'll ask about deployments and all that stuff and when we get them in here in just 1 minute. Really take a short commercial here. The shortest commercial we have, which is Neo. And this is all this goes to helping our Lord and Lady. So, by the way, nobody's taking. What we need is a testimonial from somebody who's used Neo Luminar and really help sell this stuff. But Neo Luminar is the way to go, man.
Roy, flashlight.
On the way. I'm okay.
Wow.
Fix it. With a precise depth map, I can relight my photo naturally in 3D space. Luminar lets me bring my boldest ideas to life.
Amazing.
And enjoy them. Luminar Neo. Create more.
All right, the link is in the description. Just go to the homepage, and the banner's right at the top of the homepage, and click on that and help support a Lord and His Lady. Great software, and it's cheaper than Photoshop, and it's much easier to use than Photoshop. Listen, I'm an avid Photoshop guy my whole life. I love Photoshop, but Neo Luminar is kicking ass, so check it out. And I think there's a free trial. Is there a free trial, Willie? You know?
It was already ended. It was only for 10 days.
All right.
On the 29th of January.
Our first guest this morning, and I didn't realize how late we were. It's 28 minutes in already. Taylor, not Taylor Swift. Sorry, folks. I know I teased you with that. Taylor Dunn is a stand-up comedian from Wetumpka, Alabama, which is fun to say. Can you guys say Wetumpka, Alabama?
Wetumpka, Alabama.
You don't say it well. And a full-time active serviceman in the U.S. Navy. He's here now. Welcome in, Taylor Dunn. Taylor Dunn. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
What kind of spaceship are you in, man? That's very cool. You're looking in like you're in Woody Allen's Sleeper or something.
This is the guest room of my house. So I figured this was the best place for sound suppression.
Oh, it looks like it looks like you're in a spaceship. It looks very a futuristic background or something. Very cool.
My setup here is literally, I'm sitting this on top of a box and I'm sitting up against the wall. So you don't see all the decorations my wife put up on the wall above the bed, but this was the best room in the house for sound. So
very cool. Now, you're active Navy in Wetumpka, Alabama. Is that, there's no ocean near you, right? What are you doing?
So I'm from Wetumpka, Alabama originally. I joined the Navy out of there in 2014, but I'm actually stationed right now in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
Oh, there's an ocean there.
Yeah, bigger water, much more water there. Yeah.
No, I'm actually on Tinker Air Force Base.
Can you talk about that? Can you talk about what you do out there?
Not really. The details of the command are pretty sealed up tight. But yeah, I work on an aircraft. That's about all I can say.
Wow.
Now, hang on. I gotta ask you a question here. Is it an aircraft that we reverse engineered? Do you work on one of those aircraft?
It's an alien craft.
No, non-human biologics.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this: the aircraft that we It's not reverse engineered. It would probably be even worse if we did, because the aircraft itself is extremely old. But because the Navy doesn't want to like spend any money on anything, they just keep using the same parts over and over and over again. So the aircraft is probably around 70 years old.
Oh, we don't want to get you in trouble. We should stop right there.
No, you're good. Believe me, I wouldn't say anything that's going to get me in trouble.
Okay.
He's smart enough.
Yeah. So now, comedy wise, you're a full time service person. You get comedy shows. Is there a possibility that you can't make the show because I just got called in and I gotta be on the base or any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, all the time. Pretty much, the reason I pick these orders is because it's relatively lax as far as my deployment schedule. We don't really deploy all that much. But with that being said, I always let people know if I'm booked on a show somewhere, I'm like, hey, just keep in mind, I am in the military. And if I get a phone call saying, hey, guess what? You got to come in. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to be there. But for the most part, I make a good 90% of every show I get booked on.
All in Oklahoma City area? Or?
So before I was here, I was actually stationed in San Diego, California for about 3 years. I got there in late 2019 and we enjoyed it for about 6 months. And then obviously, what happened around March of 2020, and it wasn't too much fun. I really started to hate it while we were out there, but as things started opening up, I actually started getting into producing shows. And I really started to enjoy that just simply because it gave me the opportunity to kind of play with different time slots. And, some of the biggest opportunities that I've had so far are from shows that I personally have produced.
Before I was going to ask you about, getting into comedy and how long you're going to be in the military and your plans after that. But now you're talking about producing. I have to take a tangent here because I've been trying to dip my toe in the water of producing comedy shows, and every place I approach about doing stuff, I'm on the hook for the financials of the night. In other words, to put on a show on a weekend night, if I want to put on the comedians that I want to put on, they're telling me I have to guarantee $12,000 for a door, or $12,000 for the night. Is that part of producing? As far as do you have to deal with that? Like they won't meet you halfway?
All the time. I've played with a couple of different venues. I originally started producing in this small little art gallery on Coronado, which was actually where the base that I was stationed on was. And it only sat about 80 people. But I had so many comedians I could pull from. I could bring people down from LA. I got comics in the San Diego area to come do it. And it was really successful. And I was able to work with the Laugh Factory in San Diego. And the deal that I have with them is we did a 50-50 cut of the door. But I was financially responsible for all the other comedians and the promotion and things like that. And after it was all said and done, I made a decent profit. So it's really just about finding like what the sweet spot is between, okay, you don't want to be too far in the hole. Like, okay, I've got to sell 250 tickets just to break even. Like I try to find ways to do it now where, let's say a venue seats 1,200 people, but they don't have a lot of events happening there. I'll tell them like, how much money are you going to make off of this room if you have nothing going on this Saturday night? And the answer is zero.
Right.
Well, if I bring in a couple of comedians and let's say we sell it out at $20 a ticket, if you make 30% of that plus all of the drinks you're selling and the food you're selling and all of that, wouldn't that be better than not making any money at all? And they're like, yeah, that does sound pretty good. And I'm like, okay, so you take 30% of the door, I take 70, I pay the comedians out of my end, and we'll call it a day. And
that makes sense.
Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, I could see that working for.
Quite often I've been paid out of the other comedians end, and that's why I get paid shit. So Oh, my question is, uh, why doesn't Matt have a question?
Well, my thing, well, I'm getting echoed. That's why I'm hearing like myself 4 times over every time I speak here. Because I could see that working in an art gallery, but here there is never a comedy club that is not doing very well on a Saturday night. But it's almost built on name recognition. They have a headliner that has name recognition that people are going to go see. There's only so many people in the country that really can have that drawing power that can bring in 300 people or more. And that's the difficult part. Those people want big money, and then you can mistreat the feature and opener if you're diabolical like that. I don't know, but it seems to be a challenge. I'm not. Maybe it's because I want to start too big in comedy club. An art gallery or something like that. Yeah, that's conceivable. Like you can have comedians that really don't have any name draw, but that's the big problem with me. It's like, you know what? I'm not gonna guarantee $12,000 on a night and ask people to come to see comedians that they've never heard of. Like, why should you know? And a lot of people I talk to have this perception that stand-up comedy, anybody could do that. I'm funny. I'm funnier than those people. So if it's somebody I never heard of, I'm certainly not laying out some money for a ticket for somebody it's not going to really make me laugh. It's a difficult thing for me. I don't know. Maybe it's just the area. Maybe it's New York. Are you getting headliners on your shows, like name recognition headliners?
Oh yeah, I've definitely worked with, especially when I was out in California. I worked with Zoltan Cassis. He came and headlined to the art gallery one time. Mark Christopher Lawrence, who was in like The Pursuit of Happiness, and he was on that show Chuck. He came and headlined there. And then I worked with David Lucas at the San Diego Laugh Factory. He's like on Kill Tony, and he opens for all those guys occasionally. And he actually, funny thing about him, when I was transferring from San Diego to Oklahoma, I went down to San Diego, or I went down to Wetumpka for about a month and was on leave. And I decided to produce like a hometown show. And in Wetumpka, the closest comedy club is like 2.5 hours away. And I actually got him to come headline my show. No, they don't have a.
It's you that's being the Echo Man. You are the Echo Man. Okay.
There is I will say this, there is a comedy scene developing in Montgomery. I got a good buddy that I went to school with, and, he's been producing shows at several different venues, and they are starting to get some like touring acts that will swing through town, and, they'll do some of the smaller venues, but there's not like a straight up comedy club in Montgomery.
Right.
What about, was it Platteville, Fleetville, off to the west? I'm just teasing. That's like a real podunk town.
Well, we can get rid of him if you want.
The closest one is the Stardom Comedy Club in Birmingham, Alabama, and that's actually where I started doing stand up.
I have a friend in Huntsville who's doing very well. He said
they have a club up there.
Right. So in Navy, how much you're a lifer? I'm guessing you're going to be a 20-year man at least, right? I mean, is that the plan, or?
Well, so this October I'll hit my 10-year mark, and so far I've been pretty lucky with where I've gotten to go. I've yet to be on a ship in my 9+ years in the Navy. My first duty station was in Gulfport, Mississippi. I was with the Seabees Construction Battalion for 5 years, and I loved that. Then I went out west, went to San Diego for 3 years. Didn't like that as much, but got to do a lot more comedy out there. And now being in Oklahoma until 2026, it really just depends. Every time I've gone to re-enlist, it always is like incentivized with something to the point to where it's like, well, it'd be stupid for me to get out now. Let me just push it a few more years and we'll see what happens. So probably I had, as a reasonable thinking person, I'd say, yeah, probably. I mean, I'll probably finish it out and do my 20 and get that retirement check. But I mean, who knows? It really just depends.
Right. Well, I've had doctors and lawyers. Excuse me. Let me finish this thought. I've had lots of doctors and lawyers who go to school, get their degrees, get all this college debt, and then decide to give up that career to be a comedian. And so, the security for them is really difficult because they've built up all that debt from college, from all their schooling and all that stuff. But I think even more so, I mean, you get used to that government check, and let's face it, starting in comedy, you're going to be starting at less than minimum wage, making really shitty. I saw a comedian last night who I was watching, reviewing some stuff on YouTube, and the guy was talking about how his teachers didn't have any faith in him, and he went back to his hip hop days where some rapper said, "Yeah, I'm making 7 times what you make in a year. I make in a day," and all that kind of stuff. And he went back to that teacher and said, "Yeah, you remember you didn't believe in me? What you make in a year? I almost make in a year." So there, I mean, so that's the life of a comedian. If you're going to be realistic about it, like you're going to make $20,000 if you're lucky in your first year, which is difficult to walk away from a solid, steady paycheck for the life of a comedian. It's a tough decision, right? It's got to make that compels you to stay in. But can you ever really be a full-time comedian? Can you ever pursue your dream fully with holding on to the safety line?
I mean, probably not. But at the same time, I don't know a lot of people that got out immediately. I mean, yeah, of course, you hear these wild success stories of people that, very good example, Zach Bryan, the country singer. He was in the Navy up until the point he got so famous that they literally sat him down and they were like, "Hey, you should probably get out." And
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was in the Navy up until like 2 years ago, and they just called him in one day and they were like, "Hey, so you're like #1 on the country music charts. Like, it'd probably be a good idea for you to just go ahead and get out." And he didn't want to. His dad was a retired Master Chief. He, was thinking like, "Oh, I'm going to be military for the rest of my days. And, I just like playing music on the side." But he got so wildly successful from it that it would be stupid for him to just stay in the Navy. And obviously now he's one of the biggest names in country music. So unless something like that happens, I'll still be showing up to muster at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. But no, I have a lot of freedom to, do what I like to do, especially with the internet nowadays. A 60-second clip on Instagram might get more views than a Netflix comedy special at this point. So it really kind of opens you up to being able to do something like being in the Navy full time and then still have a pretty successful comedy career on the side. So
right.
Do you think about doing like USO stuff or performing for bases and troops and stuff like that? Is that something that's on your radar?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm actually the event coordinator for my command, and one of the big things that they are asking about is like, "Are you going to do a comedy show here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." And it's just all about finding the right time. And as it's a little bit different than a comedy show you might see at the comedy club. Like for some reason, there's a lot of red tape about what you can say and what you can't. But as far as the USO and stuff like that goes, it's just about talking to the right people at the right times. I know in San Diego, it was huge, and I had a lot of friends in the area that did a lot of stuff with the USO, and they would fly some of them out to the bases to do shows. And I'd be like, "How do I get on this?" And unfortunately, I wasn't able to. But yeah, absolutely, I would love to do the USO shows.
Were you a comedian before you got in the Navy?
Yes, I actually started when I was 18 years old, right out of high school, just something I wanted to try. And I went up to Birmingham, Alabama, and it was like a open mic competition. And you just had 5 minutes. And because it was in the Bible Belt, you had to sign an NDA of like, you will not say these words.
Wow.
So it was like squeaky clean. But I mean, I was 18 years old.
What words? What words were you not allowed to say?
There's a list on George Collins' album.
It's shit, fuck, pretty much anything you couldn't say on like daytime television was everything you weren't allowed to say. You couldn't say anything homophobic, use any racial slurs, which, honestly, I don't really feel like you should say that most of the time, but that's just me.
In Alabama, you're not allowed to use racial slurs on stage, but you can use them in the street.
I wouldn't say you're allowed to. I wouldn't say you're allowed to, but
no, I'm pretty sure it's encouraged. I mean, I've been to Alabama. I'm pretty sure I've been to Alabama. I've been to Alabama, and I'm pretty sure that they were encouraged to call me the things they were encouraged to call me. It's almost like a prerequisite. But so they could be like right in front of the club. They say, "Hey, nigger, why don't you go inside the club?" And then I go inside the club, and they'll go, "Excuse me, N-word, you're not as funny as I thought."
Well, it's probably because of your crackling, not because of your skin color, but because every time you talk, it comes out crackly.
That's why we call him Cracker.
Yeah.
Oh. So
see, now that's not crackly.
That and that saltine hair.
You're Cracker. Anyway, you stop crackling. So good. Stay where you are. Don't move. All right.
Yeah, don't be moving.
Yeah.
Of course. And then what's he do? He just moves.
We, as I mentioned before we brought you on, I have an Army comedian coming on Wednesday. I've had a couple of Marines, lots of people in the military. The question, and Robert Taylor, who was a regular on the program, who is now like MIA. I think he's a POW MIA somewhere in South Carolina. He basically does a lot of military themed shows. He does shows on bases. The question I have, because in the old days, and my father's day in the military, Army and Navy didn't get along. There would always be a fight. My brother is still an old school Marine and tends to think like, the Navy is bad guys. Have you done shows like mixed service shows, comedy shows, and is there a rivalry between the services?
I've done, when I was in San Diego, I had the opportunity to produce a show at the Laugh Factory, and we called it Laugh Factory's Got Your Six, to where pretty much anybody that was military, your tickets were 50% off. And we had Marines, Air Force, a lot of Navy, because that's primarily San Diego is Navy, come into the shows. And I personally don't get the rivalry. I have friends that I went to high school with that are Army, and, we'll talk to each other from, time to time. And it's, we just talk about our different experiences and stuff like that. But as far as rivalry goes, I don't really see one.
I never got it either.
We're all getting paid by the same person.
Maybe it's not a matter of like defending the country kind of rivalry, but more like a sports thing, like because like the Army Navy game, that's like a pretty big deal,
Yeah. But I agree. I think that's where it comes from, that kind of rivalry. But I never understood we need to get in a brawl with these guys, an actual, rumble. And there's a lot of that. Well, they used
there was a. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
I'll tell you this. So, like, the Marines work with the Navy a lot.
Right.
Anytime I'm at a bar and I see a group of Marines, and they'll see the haircut and they'll be like, are you in the military? I'm like, yeah, I'm in the Navy. And you'll see their faces light up and they'll be like, tell us you're a doc, which is a corpsman. And the corpsmen pretty much exclusively work with the Marines. I do that. I don't pay for a drink for the rest of the night.
Wow.
I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a doc, which really isn't my job, but
do you have to give them, being that they're Marine and you're Navy, do you have to give them a ride home at the end of the night because they don't have any transportation of their own, right?
We all are trying to find a ride home. That's the beautiful thing about Uber. Like, I'm not fit to drive either, so.
Yeah. Is your wife supportive of the comedy stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. She You know, anytime I'm like feeling like, oh, I'm so tired from work, I don't think I'm going to go do these shows. She's like, no, you should go do them. So she's kind of like that angel on my shoulder that's like, no, go do them. Go do the show.
Very,
so,
very
yeah, she's
important
super
to have
supportive.
somebody.
My daughter, who is 8.
Is your wife like that because she wants you out of the house because she's tired of hearing the jokes and she wants you telling to someone else? Or she actually just sees potential in what you do and is encouraging you that way?
She will get tired of me talking about comedy because at the end of the day, I'm a huge comedy nerd. And so she gets full blast of it all day. So I'll be talking to her about like stuff that's happening at venues and, oh my God, you won't believe what this guy said while I was on stage. And then, you know, you can see it starting to drain on her after a while, but all in all, she is very supportive.
There's
joke?
like a half eye roll to the side, and then right.
Yeah, a little.
Does she know the comedian? Because you say you're a comedy nerd, and I'm assuming that you know at least more comedians than current working comedians than GD does, which would be one.
Right.
But like, does she know the name? Because my wife wouldn't know the names. Because I talk about comedians all the time, and she's like, I don't know who that is. I'm like, how can you not know who that Bill Burr is, or you know, people like that? Does your wife know the names of the comedians that you talk about?
So for the most part, yeah, it's kind of like you just described. Like I have to be like, oh, you got to listen to this guy. And you can kind of tell, like, she's like, well, he's okay. But what worries me is when she's like, oh, you got to listen to this comedian. And it's somebody like Matt Rife. And I'm like, oh, I know why you like him. You know, that's
why. I understand. I don't get that. Why?
He's a ladies' man comedian. Matt Rife is
tickles her.
He's okay.
Deck.
What I said because people were on Facebook complaining about him, I said, Matt Rife, I don't think he's a great comedian. I don't think he's a terrible comedian. I think without the plastic surgery and the gym membership, he would be a feature at a club in Indiana. But he's a headliner for 35 to 50-year-old women because he had a new jaw put in, a manly jaw put on his face. He had lots of plastic surgery to redo his face, and he works out constantly on, you know, being like a Marky Mark buff guy, and that's what he plays on.
Do you think, does he work out more on his muscles or his material?
Definitely he's in the gym every day. So I don't think he's doing new material every day. Most of it, he does like 10 minutes of material and 50 minutes of crowd work. But he's got a lot of ladies in his fan. That's what the guy who had the porn star get arrested last week in the crowd that I was talking about. That's Matt Rife.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So. Yeah, so you know what?
The lady that wasn't recording the set, or got arrested for recording the set.
Yeah, I've heard a bunch of different stories on that right now. Who knows what's real? But I'm not sure you can build a career on just having that kind of demographic, especially a long-term career. Because listen, he's going to get older, and he's not going to be the boy toy 20 years from now. So I don't know. He's going to be.
I mean, chicks
playing the 80-year-old woman
like Matt Damon and Brad Pitt and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they're also going to get older with him, so it's going to be a gradual thing. Yeah, they'll still see him as the way he was back then, kind of. Unfortunately, men when they get older become distinguished, and women become expendable. I think that's what Will said.
Will said that.
Definitely not some bullshit.
So who would you say are your influences? Because everybody and a lot of comedians don't like, and I know asking influences is a really shitty hack question for a host, but a lot of comedians don't want to talk about necessarily who they were influenced by because they feel like that's saying that they were copying that person. Not necessarily copying that person, but everybody had like people you saw when you were young that you thought, wow, that's cool. I could do that. storytellers like joke smiths?
So for me, my very first like influences, I loved Jim Carrey growing up. I remember being like 4 and 5 years old watching Ace Ventura, thinking it was the funniest thing ever. I've always been a huge fan of Jim Carrey, Robin Williams, things like that. And then as I started getting a little bit older, I remember being like 9 years old and staying up late to watch Comedy Central Uncut. And people like Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle has always been, on my route, Mount Rushmore. But as far as like newer people, comics that I'm like really interested in now, I'm a real big fan of Shane Gillis, Andrew Schultz. I really like him.
That's interesting that you put those two guys.
There's so many that I'm just like, wow, everything these.
That you put Shane Gillis and Andrew Schultz in the same sentence is interesting to me, because there's a episode of Podcast Cringe where it seems to be Shane Gillis was on Andrew Schultz's podcast and really kind of not putting him down, but making him look foolish. And they dissect this whole thing where it seemed to be like Shane was far more humble and down to earth, and Andrew Schultz was like playing up the stardom bit, it's all about image and being phony. And so they're two diametrically opposed attitudes towards comedy, but it's interesting to me that you put them both in the sentence, right next to each other in a sentence like that. It's a pretty interesting thing. I had the
opportunity to see. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I was going to say, how would you describe what you do? Are you a storyteller? Are you a jokesmith? Your material in terms of how you.
I'm definitely more of a storyteller. I tend to do longer form jokes. I'm trying to get to where, when I do like 5-minute spots, it's a lot more quick jokes. And I feel like I've gotten a lot better at that over the years, but the longer time slots I have, I really feel like I relax more in those.
Yeah.
This past summer, I had an opportunity to open for a guy named Stuart Thompson in Montgomery, Alabama. And I was doing 20 minutes, which is normal. It's normally longer than the set that I'm normally doing. And it was one of the most relaxed shows I've ever had, because once you get over the first, 3 to 5 minute jitters, now we're just in the pocket. And,
right.
I had the opportunity to tell stories that were 3, 4, or 5 minutes long. And, it just felt like I was hanging out with a group of my friends. So,
right.
That's one thing that I feel like I'm more of a storyteller comedian.
That's where I was going with this, because when you're starting out, I don't think you have the time to really invest in a story, because if you got 3 minutes in your first time up there, you don't have time to really effectively lay out a funny story, and even 5 minutes or 8 minutes can be difficult with that kind of thing. But so most people start with quicker jokes, shorter premises, and all that kind of stuff. I saw Mark Norman a clip from his beginning days, and he started out with longer format stuff, and now he's like a one-liner kind of guy or two-liner kind of guy. His career has evolved in reverse from everybody else's, which is really interesting. Norman, you a fan of Norman? Mark Norman?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's one of the good ones right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, the company that
you guys hearing about these comedians?
What are you saying, DJ?
Where are you guys hearing about these comedians? How are you getting your information? Are they like somewhere out there? Like you can hear about them?
Well, there's this thing called Netflix that has YouTube. There's a couple of places you could look. There's a thing called Netflix. It's like $15 a month or something. YouTube is absolutely free, and you can find out about them there. There's lots of avenues where you can actually hear about comedians. There's a thing called Saturday Night Live, and every week they have a host. Usually that host is a comedian. This guy Shane Gillis that Taylor was talking about. He's going to be
Oh, how
hosting.
did that go? I didn't even watch that.
No, it's the 24th.
Is that live? Is
It's
that
a week,
live?
yeah.
Live? Like, wow. Okay.
The thing is, they're trying to get him canceled again. Like, and that's troublesome to me. I mean, cancel culture, you only get one bite at the apple. If it doesn't work, give it up. But they're trying to rehash him for the same crap that whatever they accused him of last time. But that's where you can find out about this comedian. What are you saying? No, you're gone. You have no audio. Your audio's gone. Now you go break something. Anyway, we'll wrap things up with Taylor here. So Taylor, you're performing regularly now. You have a schedule, or you have a website where people can follow you. I have your Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram is where I primarily will post any upcoming shows that I have. I don't have anything like official, like a full blown tour, because obviously I don't know if I'd be able to make some of the dates. So I tend to just put out 1-2 shows at a time. If I have a few over a month and I know that I'll be able to make them all, I'll put them out like that. But if anybody's interested in following me, wanting to see anything more, just look me up on Instagram. It's at Taylor Dunn Comedy, and the same thing on YouTube and Facebook.
Right. Very cool.
So Taylor, if you have a gig that you can't make, who is the person that you know that you go something? I want them to take the spot. Who would you want to have that spot if you couldn't make it? Don't say Willie, because I know
honestly,
these
it depends
really
on
best friends.
It just depends on where I am. It happened back in October. I was doing some shows in San Diego, and I actually was producing a show out there. And I put a lot of my old friends from when I was stationed there on the show. Well, something ended up happening and I wasn't able to make it. And a buddy of mine, I was like, hey, can you just take over as the host and the producer? And the transition was just seamless. He was like, yeah, no problem.
Does that buddy have a name?
So the show still went on. All the still got paid.
Okay. Never mind. Okay. Go ahead.
This guy's name was Alex Speedy. He's in San Diego. He's a great comic and producer.
Okay.
Yeah. We have to move on here. Thank you for getting up early. I didn't realize you were in Oklahoma. I thought you were in Alabama, same time zone. So we appreciate you getting up early and being part of the show. If there's anything that you have to promote, just let me drop me a line, and we'll try to remember to promote. This is my biggest problem, is remembering when people send me stuff. But we definitely will look forward to some things for you, and good luck with your career. Have a great day. Thanks for coming. Bye for now. Taylor Dunn, folks. When we are already dealing with delay issues with Willie. When we have a guest with who has delay situation going on, got to be really cognizant to take a breath in between saying stuff, and when and give them a second to hear and respond. That's kind of what I was noticing there. We have to be really on top of that for some reason, especially when using the phone like that. That's a difficult thing. We're getting the echo loop and all that stuff. Let's play another commercial now, because I do want to cater to Tracy's dog. I didn't want to take up extra time before we were bringing him in, because we were already late. But Turbo, not Turbo, they call it Turbo in the commercial. It's really, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare waiting to happen, is what it is. You push that red button, and you will never be the same. Don't push the red button. See, the red button is just highlighted there. Whoa, look at Willie. He's invisible. The invisible, we'll see. The next comedian that we're about to have on, his name is Darnell Morris, and he's a black gentleman. And it occurred to me last night, we are a black and white comedian show. Very rarely, I can't remember the last time we've had an Asian comedian on. I can't remember the last time we've had like a Middle Eastern comedian on. I know I've had him on, but years ago, 5 years ago, we're generally just white and black. We try to be more diverse. Listen, diversity. We've had women comedians on, we've had trans comedians on, we have men. But as far as races go, we have we did have a Native American comedian.
Yeah,
Native
so, American.
But that's the only one in memory. Other than that, it's pretty much all black and white here.
We had a Latino, Celia Contreras.
Ah, yeah, I forgot about her. You're right. She was very good. The only problem with her was she had the camera like right here, very close up, and she was very late, so we only got like 10 minutes with her or something. But yeah. But what got me thinking about that last night was rewatching, and I'm going to say this wrong, Malik El-Assal. Malik El-Assal, are you guys familiar with them? Muslim comedian. Who's
I think so.
Very, very funny guy. He's got a bunch of stuff on YouTube. I think he's got a dry bar or don't tell comedy special. He's got a bunch of stuff, but really funny stuff. And it's like you might expect, Muslim-based humor. Basically, talks about going through airports with because he writes down his joke list and he will save his joke list as a screenshot, but he also has his boarding pass on his phone. And one time he went to hand the TSA agent his boarding pass and he handed him the phone and it was his joke list. And his joke list were like, suicide bomber hijab.
Not stuff you want to put in their face.
revenge against Israel or something like that. Like these are just his joke titles, and he's like, "That's just so I thought it was funny." But he also talks about he was a student in New York City trying to make the subway, and the train was leaving, and he's running, and the doors are closing.
And he threw his bag.
Yeah, he threw his bag, and he said, "Now the train takes off with my bag in it," and I'm like, "Oh, well, I lost my bag." But then he started to think about it from the perspective of the people in the train, where this sweaty Muslim guy is yelling, "Hey!" throwing his bag into his subway as it takes off. He said,
"Imagine on the train with it." Yeah.
Yeah, imagine. So he's a very funny guy. I'd love to get him on.
Really good. That was really good stuff.
Yeah, he's great. So I would love to get him on the program.
I was talking with Rick Diaz this morning, and hopefully we're going to get him on the show soon. He's been on Kill Tony. He was actually battling Hans Kim for regularship on the Kill Tony podcast. So I'm hoping to get Rick Diaz booked on the show. It's interesting though, because like I sent him the booking calendar, and if you know if you're familiar with him at all or whatever, he comes off as a bit pretentious or whatever, and so he was like, yeah, I'm not gonna fill out the booking calendar. You tell me when you want me on, I'll tell you if I'm available. I was like, okay, all right, So
sorry.
So I'm gonna have to go through that later today.
No. You don't
have to. No,
don't,
you do not.
Don't do that for it. No, tell him thanks, but no thanks. Thanks, but no thanks. If Brendan Walsh can do it, if Matt Knudsen can do it, if Erica Rhodes can do it, if Robert Klein can do it, nobody's too good to do it. We don't do that.
All right.
Yeah, fuck that. You know what? He might be a nice guy at the end of it, but at the end of the day, but no, you're not bigger than the other stars we've had on here. We have worked things to make it simple. And that's that. You know what? I came back. I got really nasty with a comedian last week in an email. It's like, I'm so fucking sick of this because you don't follow simple instructions. The guy, and I said, I apologize for the tone here, but you got to realize my frustration is off the charts with you guys because it's pretty simple. I did this to cut down on the amount of work, not to make more work for myself, going back and forth. Can you make this day? Can you make this time? Can you make it? No, that's too much. If I have to write 3 emails to you, that's work for me. I don't want that work. I don't need that work. And the guy said, I totally understand. I produce shows all the time and go through this, and you're right. And so then he went back and figured it out. But you know what? I'm not going to be catering to anybody's like special needs unless they are
special needs.
I will get Bill Cosby. If Bill Cosby wants to come on the show, I will throw him some dates and go back and forth with him.
But he's also special needs.
Yeah, no, because I want to talk to him about it if he's really doing any shows. That's what I want.
Yeah, so I did look into that a little bit. He was supposed to tour in 2023, but it did not happen.
Right.
That's probably health reasons. He looks kind of sickly right now.
He's old. Oh,
I mean, he's like 80.
Is that? I thought he was older than that.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I think he is.
So he can run for. So he can run for president. He just can't do a comedy show. What the fuck is his problem?
He probably could win.
I'm just trying.
Obviously, having a history of sexual misconduct doesn't disqualify you from being the president of the United States.
Well, we're not going to get him anyway, but or Bill Cosby or Biden or Trump or anybody. We're not going to get any of those people. But Bill Cosby is 86 years old, which is
86, man.
I think that's too old to be doing stand-up comedy. I especially doing any long time, maybe 10 minutes here or there.
Well, I mean, he sat down a lot anyway in his stage performances.
George Burns did it up into his 80s.
Right, but he didn't do long form. I saw George Burns somewhere in 1983, 84. He did 10 minutes. And then he sat down and had other people come out and sing and do all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's what. You can do 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but you're not doing an hour. You're not doing long form. Dave Chappelle specials or any of that kind of stuff at 86 years old, unless you're a Superman. What's that? Beep beep. Is there a missile coming in? You guys?
Did somebody leave their R2 Deep 2 running their little vibrator flashlight thing?
It would suck
if this. Hum?
No, I'm hearing like a missile coming in.
Yeah, I'm sure that's
the thing about Kelly's point about Lewis Black, because I used to love Lewis Black, and I could see some of him. I could see him slowing down now.
I thought he said he could. I thought he said he retired for stand-up.
I don't know. I was just reading what Kelly wrote.
Yeah, I know.
I just know he hasn't been around.
I think he's doing one more tour. Lewis Black is because I was just talking to somebody the other day that's going to be catching him soon. So I think he's doing. This is his last tour that he's doing. At least that he announced that it's like the final tour.
Yeah,
in a way it's good because he was starting to become a caricature of himself. Also, because the crotchety old man thing, it didn't seem as genuine as it used to be. Before I could believe him as being a crotchety old man. Now he's like, I'm a crotchety old man playing a crotchety old man.
Right.
And so
he's 75. He's 75. I think Jackie is 76. I think so. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, 75. Yeah, I would be. Listen, I retired. Not that I was touring comedian, but I retired at 56 years old. So, that was enough for me. 75, I would definitely be looking to, just stay home. That's what I would do. I want to say that I put out a PDF flyer for people about this show, and we would definitely use some help. There's a link all the way at the top of the comments, this link here. You can click on that link and download the printable version, that's an 11 by 17, 300 DPI high res version. If you can print that out or share it with people, I appreciate that. Who is this?
What is
Good
that
morning.
QR code? But yeah, I was wondering.
The QR code goes to mindottv.com. The homepage.
Okay.
This looks like Kamala Harris. Hey boys, I'm a comedian. I can giggle for days. I need a man to flick my bean. Oh, is this Kelly?
Oh my God.
I have to do it myself now. Joey tried, but he's limp. Yo, whammy jammies.
What the fuck?
This is Vice President. Cool.
Is this the vice president of the
Come
Conway
smell of my
Cookies? Am I getting the vice
smell of my
president
hairy
now, too?
puss. I don't know.
Hey,
Somebody just,
hey,
I think somebody
I'm-
made up this YouTube profile just for us today. I think it looks like
Yeah.
Vice put come and smell of my hairy puss. It's probably Mike Shavola. You think?
I mean, maybe, perhaps.
Is he that tech savvy that he knows how to do that?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. But what I was going to say was about it would be a shame if Darnell Morris does not show up now because
It's
kind
Black
of
History Month, and he's going to make us look bad. That's what it is. He's going to be all late and shit, all colored
Oh,
people
are we
time
expecting
stuff.
them to be on time?
I was.
Yeah, just about all, all the guests are here early, and I usually make them wait in the back room. They're either here early or they don't show up at all. It's very few people come late. Yeah. So anyway, now we're stuck with going back to what we were talking about earlier. Gilbert.
Football?
Yeah, Gilbert Gottfried's post this morning, and of course Gilbert is gone. I think his daughter is running his Twitter account. Has Jackie the Joke Man Martling, featured in a whole montage of Jackie and Gilbert working together with the guy who was from. I don't know if you guys remember. There was a Shakey's Pizza commercial. There was a Car 54.
Shaky Pizza?
Huh?
Was that with Michael J. Fox, the Shakey's Pizza?
Yeah. No, the dude from Car 54, the goofy dude from Car 54. Where are you? He was a Shaky. That's the only two roles I think he'd ever had. If I find out his name and look on his IMDb page, probably have Car 54 and Shakey's Pizza. But so he's featured in this. But they have the Jackie doll. Yeah, the Jackie doll that Jackie told a story about at his Q&A at the screening for the Joke Man movie, where the Jackie doll was kidnapped or stolen, and they were trying to figure out who did it. And Howard was saying definitely Jackie stole his own doll, and Jackie was adamant he didn't. And then it was Jackie who suggested we get a lie detector test in here, and he said, "I'll go first, and then we'll see who." And the day the lie detector guy was to show up, the doll mysteriously came back. It just appeared back. I think it was Howard that actually stole the doll himself. I don't know. I never got to the bottom of that. But Jackie will be back next Friday. And Jackie has a friend who we booked. He's an author of a book about Flip Wilson. And hold on. Let me look it up quick. The book. Where's the book? Oh no, it's in my email. Sorry, I'm not going to get it. But this guy's an author, a comedic author about, he writes about old time comedy. Jake, where are you? Give me 1 second. I see if I could. No, it's going to be more than 1 second. Oh, by the way, I see Barry Katz is having a Ask Me Anything tonight.
Yes.
Yep.
I popped in there last Monday and noticed lots of people that I knew, people who were on this show. I think that I counted 7 or 8 people who were on this show who were in the Barry Katz thing, not counting you two guys. So it's good to see that.
Well, I see Robert Taylor there sometimes. I don't think he was there last week, but I see him quite a few. Like most Mondays, I see Robert.
Robert Taylor? I didn't know he was in that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Jake Cattell's book is called Lenny, Flip, and Rickles. I guess it's a 60s comedy book. Lenny is obviously Lenny Bruce, Flip Wilson, and Don Rickles. Now, I can't imagine what the the common thread between those three might be. You know, there's a common thread between Lenny Bruce and a lot of modern day comedians, because Lenny Bruce and Rodney Dangerfield were best friends, and Rodney's footprint on modern comedy is just tremendous. I mean, if you look, you know, from Jackie to Robert Klein to Andrew Dice Clay, on and on. Lots of Lenny Clark, lots of those people. He kind of gave their start to. Anyway, our guest.
It's funny. I don't think that people like, because I think people forget about. Well, Henny. I was thinking as soon as you started talking, I started thinking about Henny Youngman, because he did like a whole living. He made like an entire living off of "Take My Wife Please" things, you know, and the other guy you just mentioned, Rodney Dangerfield.
Right.
You know, he also "Take My Wife Please," but a lot of his stuff was about my wife is not such a great cook. You know, that kind of.
Is that what you took away from Rodney? Is my wife is not such a great cook?
No respect.
Yeah, it's no respect, really. Rodney was much more.
Oh yeah, he also didn't get respect. Also, yeah, that too.
Rodney was really good. Now, I don't know how much he actually wrote of his own material. I know he bought jokes from lots of different people, or lots of people claim they sold Rodney jokes. Darnell Morris was there, but now he's invisible. So he's the invisible man. We'll wait for him to come back to his seat before introducing him.
So, well, to be invisible, next step would be 3/5 of a comedian, and then he could be completely on the show.
Okay. Coming back to what you were saying, like Henny Youngman, I don't know if he was all that influential, but nobody matches Rodney for his impact on today's comedy. You know, he was the first one to start a comedy club, a real just comedy exclusive club in the 60s. Dangerfield started in 1968. Every time Darnell Morris, he's sitting in the chair. I'm not going to let him get up again. He's a stand-up traveling comedian for 12 years, 20 years of radio broadcasting experience, and he's just living the dream. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in Darnell Morris. Darnell, good morning.
Good morning. How are we today? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it sounds very good, and there's no delay. We like that.
Thank you.
Where are you located?
Right now, I'm calling out of the Bronx. This is my current home base right now, Bronx, New York, baby.
All right. So, do you performing a lot in Manhattan, or?
I do all over. I mean, I just finished a show at the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut.
Was that a Frank Magallo? Was that a Frank Magallo produced show?
It was.
Frank's been on this program. What do you make of Frank? Do you know Frank personally?
I know Frank. Me and Frank, we've hung out a couple times. I started at the Mohegan Sun. I think my first show there was November. So that's the first time I met Frank. And a pretty cool dude. He was actually going in for surgery 3 days later. I had no idea he had cancer, but now he's cancer-free, thank God.
Wow.
Thank God. Cool. But he was still there 3 days before the surgery to do the show.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. He was on the program, and I wasn't sure, because he's known to be a prankster, and he has this history of being a prankster, or at least that was the story he was telling. And I wasn't sure if he was pranking me the whole time he was on here, because he was telling stories about press conferences where he, I don't know, Shah of Iran or something. So like back in the 70s and 80s, he was doing all these weird kind of press conferences, and had a official go out in the Super Bowl dressed as a referee, and it was a phony Super Bowl ref and all that stuff.
Yeah, that was a great episode.
Oh, yeah, but I think I wasn't sure if any of that was true, or whether he was just pranking me, because he kept saying you could never, your media would never fall for any of this stuff nowadays, and I'm like, it means me. I mean, because this is media. Anyway.
Yeah, so I was just back there in January, and it was a competition this time. And by the good grace of God, I won the competition, so I'll be back there in June hosting.
Very cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
I got a lot of cool stuff coming up. I got a show coming up, and there's a battle in the desert out in Phoenix, Arizona.
Ooh.
So I'm going to fly out to that. So, I mean, I'm based in New York. I just moved back home to New York about 2 years ago, because I was in Georgia for 10 years, give or take.
You did broadcasting. Where was your broadcasting career?
My broadcasting career started in New York, out in WHBC. That was in Long Island, New York. I worked for Fox, Hot 97, 95.5 PLJ, the original Z Morning Zoo. In Atlanta, I worked down at 1380 WAOK.
Now, how did that help
Whoa.
you with the comedy? Or did it?
Honestly, it helped me in a weird way because, on radio, FM radio, AM radio, you have to be, especially, 10, 15 years ago, you have to be a lot cleaner for it.
Right.
So it fueled my filth on stage because I needed an outlet for it, but it also taught me business, and it actually provided me a lot of business connections over the years. Because
Yeah.
I started radio before I started comedy.
When you left broadcasting, did you leave on your own accord, or were you thrown out, like, let's say, someone who kept dropping the F-bomb on the radio?
Oh, no.
I
I left on my own accord because I wasn't a comedian on the radio.
Okay.
On the radio, I was just a producer.
Yeah.
So I executive produce shows, and I would throw comedy in here or there. They did call me the HR nightmare because I was in there at least once or twice a week because I'm going to say something ridiculous.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, but I mean, you get what you get. You know what you signed up for?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looks like you're wearing a Met hat.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I'm from Flushing, Queens. That's
Okay, I was gonna say the Bronx. They probably frown upon that a little bit.
Oh no! I got to stay clear away from these Yankees fans. They're delusional. They haven't won a championship in 25 years, and they think they're the best.
Yeah, I get it, man. Listen, I was a Met fan from 1962 until 2008. When they choked for the second year in a row against Philadelphia, and I swore I would never watch another pitch. I've gone back.
Well, at least you got the one championship, though.
Yeah, I got two. I got 1969 and I got 1986. Yeah.
And I'm still waiting for my first one.
Yeah.
But I'll wait. I'll die.
Well, hopefully someday. But I have gone back now. I go to Citi Field a couple of times because my friend he gets luxury box tickets and all that kind of stuff.
And Citi Field is really nice.
You know what it's about? It's not about baseball. It's about food.
Well,
in the luxury food. The luxury boxes, that's all it is, like a banquet. It's like Thanksgiving dinner. And
not to get all the way away from the topic here, but I don't know if you've been there recently. So where the bullpen is, right next to it, they've built like this thing underneath. It's like all private suites, and it's an all-you-can-eat buffet for 3 hours of the game. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I had to give up. I can't eat another thing. Like they try to get me to eat more. Like, no, I'm in for baseball. Does anybody care about baseball?
No, because you're in a food coma.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. So now, getting back to the comedy though. Now,
that's what happened to me yesterday with the Super Bowl.
Is that why
that's another big food day?
Yeah. Is that why you fell asleep? Because you ate too much?
Yeah, my belly got full and I passed out. Yeah.
Wow, you're like, you know what? You're like,
yeah. I mean, like I said, I had a couple of drinks, but I was nice and relaxed.
This is weird. You're like a Godzilla movie now. We see your lips moving, and then the sound comes out like, I don't know.
I like it. It's nostalgic.
Say Godzilla.
I'm gonna leave and come back. It's that bad.
Before you do that, say Godzilla. Say Godzilla.
Oh, Godzilla!
All right, go leave and come back.
That's the beauty of being a diabetic. See, because I ate like 6 chicken wings. I just couldn't get full. I could not get full enough to fall asleep. So I had to so I watched the whole game.
Subject-wise, your comedy. What do you talk about? What kind of things are your favorite things to talk about? You're not a married man, are you?
Divorced. So there's plenty to talk about.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff to talk about.
So no material there.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Nothing. I got nothing.
What else you got? Yes, what else you got?
You know what? I delve into a lot of different things. I try and stay away from politics, unless it's something really funny, and then I'm going with it.
Yeah.
But honestly, where I'm at right now, I'm trying to transition to a phase where I get comfortable really talking about my family, because for 12 years my family's always been off limits to me.
Why?
It was just a personal box for me. My family's very close to me. They're very important to me. I want to protect them.
Do they come to see your shows?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That would be a reason I would stay away from it. It's just like it's difficult to make some. Listen, you could do it in the comfort of your own home and bust somebody's balls or a little bit, but doing it on stage while they can't even give it back to you, that seems like a little. It'll be a little tricky for me, you know.
Yeah.
See, I do it, but when I write that kind of material, I write it so that in the script I know what they would say back to me, so I kind of like write it into the script, so they are represented, and so
I represent my kids. I'll talk about my kids a little bit. I actually in the middle of writing this joke because I got this competition on the 20th, where it's all about my kids. I've decided to break out of that box, and you know, as far as my family, F them, because at the end of the day, nobody's gonna be complaining when I'm rich.
Yeah.
You can take a little joke with $1 million in your bank.
Is there such thing as a rich comedian? There's.
Yeah, just not me. I think I'm the only.
Yeah, I'm not one of
that's
them.
not rich. Well, technically, I'm not a comedian, so I don't count.
But I know, no, you know what? I know a lot of comedians though, and I went on a cruise maybe 6 years ago now. But I got in touch with you know, they have the comedy shows on the cruise, and I started talking to some of the guys there, and yeah, they're making 6 figures to do cruise ships.
Oh yeah.
So comedians are out here getting money. You just gotta.
I was just being silly, but the club people I know, some of the most successful club people I know. Well, and part of it is they live in New York or LA where the rents are exceedingly crazy, but they're just getting by. I mean, some of these people who are extremely successful, touring nationally, headlining nationally, and they don't have a couch because. Again, a part of that is the expense of traveling around the country, and then the expense of having a home base in New York or LA can be really expensive. But they're not like killing it. In the old days, there were more people. If you were successful in comedy, it meant you were successful financially. Now today, I see a lot of people who I know are really successful in comedy. They're in demand. They're working every weekend in some other city, but again, they don't have a couch or they don't have.
Well, I have a secret weapon. I have a secret. I live with my mother, so that works. That works.
That's what.
I'm not even gonna hold you and lie to you, brother. I moved back home maybe about 2.5, 3 years ago, with the traveling situation, the finances, the interest rates. I was looking for a house, but I mean, the way it works out right now, it's easier living with mom.
Right. That came up last night. In that I was watching Malika El-Assal, and he was talking about teachers who said he would never make anything of his life, and because he went to a strict Muslim school, and he said if you are in comedy, you are going to starve. And he went back to that guy and said, "Oh yeah, one thing you didn't figure in, I still live with my parents, dude. My mother feeds me every day. She's always cutting me fruit. She's walking into my
It's like a cushy prison." The meals are paid for. My health is taken care of.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta say, when I was in prison, a lot of times they said your mother doesn't live here. So I totally get what you're talking about. Like, it would have been like a cushy prison had she been there with me.
Well, let me just say, my mother did live in prison, so there's that.
So we're all getting 3 hots in the cot. Great.
When I worked in the print shop, I shit you not, our prison actually made 4 different like postcards that you could send out to people, and like they featured different pictures of the prison, and one of them actually was a
what a lovely memento
here postcard. Yeah, guys love sending that thing out to motherfuckers. They send that out to like co-defendants and shit.
Right.
So Will, were you really in prison, or is this shtick?
Oh, tell him.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I did 10 years in prison.
4.
Yeah.
Oh.
4.
Okay, I'm not gonna ask for what, because I don't know if the court papers, the ink is dried yet.
I robbed a flower shop. Yeah, no,
A,
it's
a
all right.
what shop?
I did something
You
with
robbed a what shop?
flower shop. A flower shop. Yeah, I
You know, I
robbed a
took
flower
good
shop. I
time
know
out of
what
my
you're
day for
thinking. Who
this.
robs a flower shop? That's exactly what I was thinking, bro. Who robs a flower shop? Like they're never gonna see that coming, you know?
He had a thing for daisies.
But you
It
got
was going,
wait a
then they
minute.
noticed. Really, it was.
He wasn't
Wait a
even
minute though.
going for
You
the
got
cash. He
10
was just going for
years?
daisies. Yeah.
But you got 10 years for daisies?
It's actually interesting that you bring that up because yeah, no. So my I had a cellmate that was actually from New York, and he said, you know, in New York they'd have laughed you out of the fucking courtroom. Like you wouldn't even
Yeah, no, that would have been fun.
Fucking flower shop in New York.
Wait, can we clear something up though? Didn't you get like 18 years? You only did 10 years. Wasn't that the case?
Yeah, no, it's.
You're locking up again. Anyway, yeah.
I think it was just in time.
Yeah, well, it's
Before
just
there was another charge added on.
Yeah.
Is that me buffering?
Yeah, you made your connection worse by going out and coming back. You want to try one more time? Will, you hear me, Will? Will, can you hear me, Will? No.
Maybe his minutes ran out. You know, in those prison phones.
You gotta
get so much.
Will, if you're listening, you gotta reboot. Anyway, we're here with Darnell Morris now. Darneezy-fied. Do you go by that when Darneezy-fied? Is that your stage name? Will you call you up by that, or?
I literally just changed everything to Darnell Morris Comedy maybe 3 days ago because it just became a situation where it's like nobody can spell it, so nobody can find me. So I was like, all right, let me just make it simple. But I mean, that's the energy. That's the energy that I bring when I come outside. Like anytime if we ever get a chance to meet in person at a club or whatever, I'm very high energy.
Yeah.
So when you get Darnell, you get Darneezy-fied.
I like it. I like it. Now, people must be stupid, and they are stupid because I know from my calendar booking thing that so many people can't handle understanding Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern, all week long last week. But all I had to do was Google Darnell Morris comedian, and it came right up. So and it's in the description.
Thank God I'm doing something.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, people get confused easily.
I want to know about GD Fenderson. What do you go by? What name do you go by?
GD Fenderson.
Oh, okay. What's your story, brother? I don't know. He just threw me on here.
No,
because you said you're not a comedian.
No, I'm a certified forensic humorist.
A certified
forensic
humorist.
There's a lot of possibilities there.
Yeah, but part of this, and I don't think I've addressed this with him, is the forensic part suggests taking up, because forensics is about taking apart and analyzing it and breaking it down to its final part so you can create the tale of what happened. But I don't see a lot of that. You're not being.
You never been watching my material.
I see your material all the time on this show.
No, you see me on this show, which is not the same as my comedy routine. You see the way I interact with you and Willie. You don't see the way I interact with an audience or my material.
With other comedians, you're not being forensic about their. Like, be forensic about
Aren't you the one that told me, why are you researching so much about these people? Why are you going so deep?
That's not research is not forensics. Forensics is
technically I'm using for example another. If you have a thesaurus, certified is another word for genuine. Forensic is another word for rhetorical, and humorous is another word for funny guy. So yeah, genuine, rhetorical, funny guy. If you break out your thesaurus, but I don't expect people to break it down their thesaurus when it's just a title that I earned after I made it up.
Forensic is relating to or denoting the application of scientific methods or techniques in the investigation.
Yes.
I don't know why I went straight to necrophilia.
Yes.
See, that is also another one.
You took one look at him and you said, "Yeah, this guy's a necrophile."
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that looks like he fits the regular MO.
Look, Will's sad because he's all on delay. Willie, can you hear us? Willie? No, he's on delay. Anyway, he's just there now. Willie's function is just to be here and
he's breaking up. He's pixelating. He's gone max headroom on us.
I hear bits and pieces. Like I'm not even doing full sentences on that.
Try rebooting your computer.
But my wife is up now and she's like streaming television and stuff like that. So
try moving your hat to the left. Try twisting your hat around.
Oh shit. Yeah. Here's what you do. Try rebooting your computer altogether, and if we're still here when you get back, we'll still be here when you get back. Yeah. All right. So I don't know, Donnell, if you could tell this by just looking at him, but GD is a black man. I don't know if you could tell that by looking at him.
I noticed it in the beginning. I thought that was weird. I thought I was going to be the only one.
Oh no, we have plenty of black comedians on, but none of them are see race in every little aspect of life or every sentence that you say, like GD does. He makes a racial observation. You could talk about anything. You can bring up anything, literally any subject, and he will find race in it.
It doesn't seem like you agree, GD.
Well, I don't, but that's just the way white people talk.
Well,
I walked right into the middle of a race war. Great.
No, there's no. It's not
I love Matt. I love Matt and his oliveness.
Yeah. Well, because this is Black History Month last week, or on the February 1st, I brought that up. And then he started doing a Step and Fetch It voice for the entire hour. And
2 hours and 15 minutes.
Oh, 2 hours and 15 minutes. Yeah,
only
I forgot.
My wife reminded me of it. My wife reminded me of it.
Yeah.
And I'd have done it for the whole month if you hadn't sent me a message telling me not to. I was ready to go for the whole month. I was ready to go Step and Fetch one day and then Kingfish next day, and then
And you got an extra day this month. You got an extra day this year to do it.
Right.
Oh yeah. So, I was going down every black stereotype. I had like one a day, which is only 21 shows or something for February. But
give us a test, Willie. No, he's still South Dakota.
Is Will your sound engineer?
No, Willie is he's in South Dakota where they don't they need Starlink or something. They definitely they're a little bit.
That's
delayed.
A good question though. Where is everybody right now?
I'm in
New York.
I'm in New York. I'm out on Long Island in Shoreham. And,
okay.
GD is
way out there.
Yeah, GD's in Maryland, which is I don't know. He's right on the Mason-Dixon line.
Right. Now, what is your voting district? Can you vote? I mean, there's a special election going on right now in District 3. What district are you in now?
He's in the Bronx. That District 3 is Long Island. Yeah.
Okay. I'm only related to politics in New York.
I think AOC is his congressperson, right? AOC is
AOC, yeah.
Yeah.
And she's still. We actually have her center is like maybe 4 or 5 blocks from here. She has a special center.
I want to get her on the program. I've been trying to get her on the program for 2 years. It's a difficult.
I can make a call. I might be able to help you out.
The reason I brought up the racial thing is because Shane Gillis, who is set to host Saturday Night Live, was fired from there and called a racist, and basically that was the reason they fired him originally. Now they have him back as a host. He never even made it on the show because he was too much of a racist to be on the show, and now they have him back. Do you think that he's not a racist anymore, or that being successful means being a racist? It doesn't matter if you're a racist as long as you're
I missed the name. Who was the name?
Shane Gillis.
Who knows anymore, man? As long as they don't have Michael Richards on there, I'm cool.
Yeah, but
maybe they're going to have him apologize as part of his. Maybe it's part of his apology.
Maybe.
That he's going to do like a 4-minute apology thing, and then insult somebody at the end of that.
I don't think he's ever going to. If he was going to apologize, it would have happened 5 years ago, and he basically dug himself he said, I am who I am. I'm not going to change. But he's he contends he's not a racist. Basically, he was making jokes, and jokes sometimes can be interpreted. People can say what they want about them, but your intent is not necessarily what somebody else says it is. So just because you're making jokes doesn't mean it's.
I know they say there's a fine line, between too far and not too far, or over the line rather.
Yeah,
I
I would
mean,
say you brought up Michael Richards. There's no, and I know he tried to
no,
deny it.
He jumped off the cliff.
Way over the line. Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
That was just a tyrannical racist rant.
That, yeah,
But as
that
far as
was.
people going over the line, man, as far in my comedy, particularly, you ask me what type of comedy I do. It's that over the line. It is edgy. I want to bring you right there, and it doesn't have to be necessarily dirty, but I'm gonna make you think about something.
Now, how edgy? Because, like, for example, I do some stuff about my mom being raped. So,
My last show, I
know,
opened the set with a joke about dead babies, about
yours or someone
actually
else's?
killing, huh?
Yours or someone else's?
An ex-girlfriend of mine.
Oh, okay. But fetuses, like abortions, or were they like,
No, I
like?
was trying to describe how ugly her son was, and what I said was, if the baby died from baby shaking syndrome and you filled him with cement, you could put him on top of a city building to scare away pigeons. So that's how I started the show, because I like to see where we're at with the audience and see what I can get them to laugh at. And then, if I can get you on something like that, it doesn't have to be that joke right off the bat, because it's always going to be something right off the top that's going to be like, whoa.
Right.
They
Yeah,
like a test balloon. Like
right.
a test balloon.
Right.
Okay,
So either I have you, if I get you to laugh at that, the show is mine, and there's no worries. But if not, then I switch it up. But I have 15, 20 sets for each occasion, so it's not a hard transition at this point in my career. 5 or 6 years ago, that would have been, I would have probably just walked off stage.
I love the idea of being able to brand yourself as that, so that people expect that from. Like, I've been watching Anthony Jeselnik a lot lately, and every time he starts a joke, people have it in the back of their mind, oh, this is going someplace very dark. I don't know where it's going, but I know at the end is going to be something that is going to be objectionable to most people on planet Earth, but I'm going to think it's really funny, because he builds up that brand. But then you're kind of not limiting your audience, but choosing the people who appreciate your comedy as these dark motherfuckers. Like, people who are just like really.
Well, my thing is this: a few years ago, when this whole cancel culture started, and we're canceling this person, we're canceling that person. Number one, I don't believe in canceling anybody. So I'm not canceling R. Kelly. I'm not canceling Bill Cosby, because it's only black people that cancel black people.
Yeah.
So until I will bring up the race thing, until I see Elvis starting to get canceled, until I see all of these racist old white sitcoms start to get canceled, I'm not canceling anybody. And this notion that's been put in there that we should be able to cancel our own, but no other culture does this. So let's just stop that. I can separate the person from the music. Now, to answer that question, so many comedians were being just like pushed to the side and thrown away and thrown out, because all the comedy that you've enjoyed for the last 5 or 10 years didn't mean anything, because we got sensitive. And there was one joke that maybe you didn't agree with. So now they're off and they're out, and we're all supposed to forget about them. These people have families, they have lives, they have careers. This isn't just, I'm going to go out and tell a penis joke, and try and, we have bills. So once that cancel culture started, I said, the only thing this is going to do, I saw an opportunity here. I said, the only thing this is going to do is push comedians to go darker. And eventually, they're going to need an outlet and it will be received wonderfully, because that's what comedy is. That's what it was. That was satire. So I'm working on a project now. Hopefully it'll be out here in December, October. And it's a show called The Dirty Circus. And it's going to be a dark comedy show, circus themed. And, I've rented out the theater. It's very ambitious.
Wow, good for you. We were talking about a little bit about that before with our previous guest, in that the risk you take in producing something like that. You put up all the money to rent out the theater and all that kind of stuff. You got to be pretty confident you're going to get your return on it, then, right? I mean,
Well, here's the thing. I feel like for that particular show, 750 people is a lot of people. It's a
oof.
lot harder than it might sound. Um, I'm going into this expecting to lose a couple $1,000s.
Wow.
And I'm okay with that because I feel like, as far as the return, as you were speaking about, once that video comes out, and now we can pitch that video, and now we can make that. The goal is maybe 10 years from now, I can see this as going right in with the comedy festivals. You know what I'm saying? Where it will become a cult event. But for this first year, I know I'm going to lose money. If I don't, it'll be a miracle, and I'll be so thankful. But I don't mind losing the money if I'm giving you the product that I want to give you.
Yeah, that's a good attitude to
Sell
have.
it short. If I have to start shortchanging and nickel and diamond here and there, then I'm out. I don't mind losing the money. I want to make sure that everybody walks in like any show I do. I like to go above and beyond. I want to make sure you leave there, and whether the tickets are $20 or $50, whatever the cost, I want you to leave there feeling like you had a show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of shows, we have to take a before you say that. Speaking of shows, we have to say goodbye to Governor's Comedy Clubs right now. Governor's Comedy Clubs is we're on there every day. We'll be on there tomorrow. Check us out, Governor's Comedy Club.